This goes in the absolutely insane category. The University of Colorado bans Denver Post sports writer Sean Keeler from asking questions at Deion Sanders football press conferences. Apparently, according to the Post, Sanders has some unique clause in his contract that he speaks only to mutually agreed upon media. Is that unbelievable that the University of Colorado, an academic institute, agreed to that? Deion, we want you as coach. We're paying you millions a year. Dude, you have to talk to all media. You can't ban any media. What are you thinking of banning some media like you did at Jackson State? There was an example of that at Jackson State, for crying out loud, where he banned a sports writer at Jackson State when he was at the SWAC. Just insane. The University of Colorado, shame on them. When that clause popped up with the agent, they should have been like, you did that in Jackson State, at Jackson State. We don't want that happening. This is Denver, Colorado. Can't have a Denver Post writer, one of the television stations or one of the big radio stations, KOA, whatever it is in Denver. I think it's KOA. We're going to ban somebody from asking questions at a football press conference. Sorry, Deion, we want you. Here's the money, but we're not putting that crazy anti-America, anti-First Amendment, anti-University of Colorado, an academic institute. We're not putting that clause in the contract. That's insane. But they bent over backwards, and now they're taking it. Deion Sanders controls the University of Colorado, apparently, not the other way around. The University of Colorado apparently pays Deion Sanders, and they work for Deion Sanders. Sean Keeler, an op-ed guy for the Denver Post, writes some not so flattering stuff about Deion Sanders. Here's the deal. There's no way to refute this. The Colorado Buffaloes last year were 4-8. They didn't go bowling. They weren't anywhere near bowl eligible. They were 4-8. Full-blown losing season. Not even close. And Deion Sanders took, I guess, offense to this guy criticizing him. This is from the University of Colorado, and this is just embarrassing in so many ways. After a series of sustained personal attacks on the football program and specifically Coach Prime. In their release, they call him Coach Prime instead of Coach Sanders, which is just beyond embarrassing. It's, in this instance especially, you call him our coach or Coach Sanders, whatever. After a series of sustained personal attacks on the football program and specifically Coach Prime. So Colorado is saying Sean Keeler is doing it personally, not professionally, not being a journalist, doing it personally. It doesn't matter if he's doing it personally or not. That's the Denver Post's problem. If they're hiring an op-ed guy that goes outside the boundaries of journalism, it's the Denver Post's choice to fire him or keep him. They may like that, they may not. Journalism is subjective. But there's some obvious things you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be fair and objective. This guy does an op-ed piece. Deion got mad at some of the nicknames. That's what really got him mad. The guy would call Sanders like Deposition Deion, the Bruce Lee of BS, a false prophet. Use phrases such as Planet Prime, the Deion Kool-Aid circus. They're 4-8. Deion Sanders talks like they're 12-0. Deion Sanders talks like he talked when he was a great baseball player and football player. You talk the talk, walk the walk, shut down corner, return kickoffs and punts for touchdowns. You're backing it up. You're talking the talk and walking the walk. Larry Bird, they say, was the worst trash talker in professional sports history. Like Deion Sanders, he talked the talk and walked the walk. Now, Deion Sanders is talking the talk and he ain't walking the walk. Literally tells Colorado, and they bend over backwards and agree with him. Shame on Colorado. They're the real problem. Letting Deion Sanders dictate policy. They banned the sports writer because Deion doesn't like what he's saying. And Colorado says it's personal attacks on the football program, personal attacks on Deion Sanders. This is an op-ed guy. He's giving opinions. The team's 4-8. Deion Sanders talking a lot of crap and not delivering. So I think the Denver media, the Boulder, Colorado media, newspaper, radio, television, internet, all of it, the television stations, everybody, we're not covering Colorado football until you reinstate Sean Keeler of the Denver Post, where he can ask questions at press conferences. It's absolutely pathetic and weak. And yeah, it's American. It's the First Amendment and freedom of the press and all that for sure. But it's sad. It's an embarrassment for Deion Sanders. He's basically saying, I'm the most insecure guy in the country when I show all this confidence and I'm loud and usually deliver on what I'm saying. What blows me away is why would Deion Sanders, prime head coach of the Colorado Buffaloes, making millions a year, why would he care what a sports writer says? Why would he care? I certainly do not care what, do I want everyone to like me and watch and listen to the show? Of course, but I don't care if you disagree and are mad at me one day because I was critical of something, like maybe Deion Sanders. Hell, I'll tell you about Sean Payton. Sean Payton got Brian Allie Walsh banned from covering the Saints. It was like year 2 or 3, maybe 06, 07. Brian Allie Walsh had just left the Times-Picayune after like 30 plus years. A legitimate journalist covering the teams we love. I don't want a homer. I don't want like I'm at the bar with buddies and we're talking about the team in a biased, slanted way. I don't want that. I don't want ass kisser, sports writer or any journalist. And I don't want some basher, some negative, jaded jerk that has an agenda to bash. I don't want either one. I want a journalist, ideally right down the middle. Keeler appears to be that. If you read his stuff, he's opinionated. He's got strong opinions. But nothing he's saying is crazy or a personal attack on Deion Sanders or the football program. But sadly, Colorado backs Deion Sanders' play on this. It's embarrassing. According to the Denver Post, Sanders has a unique clause in his contract that he speaks only to mutually agreed upon media. Shame on the University of Colorado, knowing that Deion Sanders at Jackson State banned a media member there, that they allowed that clause to be in his contract at big time, Big 12, University of Colorado in Boulder, right outside of Denver. It's terrible. Sends an awful message. And it sends a message to righteous, fair, and objective people in America that Deion Sanders is painfully insecure. And the folks that are on Deion Sanders' side and thinks he has a right to ban sports media, I guess you like Vladimir Putin in North Korea, Kim Jong-un and all of that. This is America. Freedom of press, First Amendment. It's the Denver Post's responsibility if they think Keeler's personally attacking Deion in the program. They can fire him. They can like it. It's their call. It's their employee. But for Deion Sanders in the United States of America, covering sports, for crying out loud, it's a joke. It's a luxury item. It isn't plane crash, politics, something that affects our life. It's a luxury item. It's absolutely insane. It's sad. It's pathetic. It shows extreme weakness, extreme insecurity in Deion Sanders. You know who's worse than Deion Sanders? The University of Colorado allowing it to happen. All Denver media should get together and say, we're not covering the Colorado Buffaloes until you reinstate Sean Keeler. Like when Sean Payton banned Brian Allie Walsh, 46826, Times-Picayune, internet, everybody should have said, Saints, we're not covering you too. There should have been a letter to the Saints signed by all the bosses of all those media outlets. We're not covering the team anymore until you reinstate Brian Allie Walsh. And Sean Payton would have reinstated Brian Allie Walsh in 24 hours. Because it's pathetic and weak and shows extreme insecurity. I don't know about you, even as a fan, I don't want to see that with my coach.